Have you ever wondered what it will be like inside of a mental hospital? If not, picture what it will be like living or being inside of a mental hospital. Most people would picture a mental hospital as a place for crazy people, a scary place that no one wants to visit. Your perception about them is most likely true. However, hearing the information I will inform you, your idea about state hospitals might worsen.
The patients crave attention. Coming with me? The beds are in a terrible state, and there are pools of urine on mattresses.
Patients are sleeping, they've all been sedated. The staff say it's the only way they can control the huge number of patients here. And as you approach, the patients lying in the bed is an overwhelming stench of urine. You're actually quite overwhelmed.
The Guatemalan government.
I will be informing you on the installation, The State Hospital by Edward Kienholz, why he made the installation, the media he used in his installation and what it represents, and what was going on in the art world and how it influenced him to do what he did in his installation. I will be informing you on the installation, The State Hospital by Edward Kienholz, why he made the installation, the media he used in his installation and what it represents, and what was going on in the art world and how it influenced him to do what he did in his installation. Edward Kienholz, the composer behind this installation, worked in a mental hospital in Lake Medicine, Washington in 1947. He got to experience the gruesome living conditions of the patients, which was ultimately his inspiration behind this installation. However, he was also influenced by the different art movements that were going on during this time. According to The Impacts of the Funk Art Movement by Jacqueline Colbin, in 1960s was the year that sparked the funk art movement, the year that artwork became more unorthodox. It was a movement that changed what people thought should and should not be considered art. Colbin stated that funk art is art that uses vibrant colors, recycled and found objects, functional and non-functional forms, and can show identity. Colbin also states how painting styles changed. Artists now painted in splashing, dripping, and swinging paint across campuses. Jackson Pollock, one of the main influences in the funk art movement, incorporated splashing and dripping in lots of his artwork. Artists used this style of painting to speak their minds through their artwork, also to prove that this style was not bad painting. Artist Donald Judd, another funk art creator, made sculptures where he filled open spaces with large boxes. The rectangular and square-shaped boxes were bright or earth tone colors and were used as a stepping stone for other funk art creators to show how this way of creating sculptures can be considered art. Kienholz was ultimately influenced by this new art movement. In his artwork, his props are reused or recycled objects, including the bedpan, mattress, etc. The walls are a light, vibrant color. His artwork is stationary, therefore is non-functional, and he incorporates this new way of painting by splashing and dripping the paint onto the molded cast to give it an unlit look. He uses identity in his artwork because his artwork is a social awareness piece. Kienholz tries to open society's eyes on how people who might be deemed as deficient are treated or seen. He tries to convey a message to the viewers. He shows in his artwork that he cares about people and wants to open society's minds and change. This is also one of the reasons why I felt Kienholz was influenced by the Neo-Dadaism movement going around during this time. According to Neo-Dadaism, absurdist humor, and the millennial generation, Megan Hoynes explains what Neo-Dadaism is. It is an art movement characterized as defiantly anti-art, fed up with the world and disillusioned by what it had to offer. This movement sparked after World War I, which is also around the time Kienholz made his artwork. This movement was protest art. Neo-Dadaism was a movement for indifference. It means new Dada. What was new was that the Neo-Dadaism movement was now trying to do things different from what usual artists does, to show their views on things going on around the time. For example, Dred Scott, the composer of this photo montage, became the center of controversy when he placed the American flag onto the ground, inviting the trampling of the flag, according to what is the proper way to display the American flag. Kienholz gravitated to the social value movement and took his views about mental hospitals and put it into his installation. He found objects and reused them to make art, to show a purpose. He wanted to use his artwork as a beacon for change and to get viewers to see things differently. Everything Kienholz did in his artwork had a meaning. Starting with the outside of his installation. According to Edward Kienholz, the State Hospital, Kienholz padlocked the door and added a window with 3 bars for the viewer to only look outside the installation. He wanted to put the viewers inside the shoes of the hospital attendants. He wanted to show how the attendants would just look into the windows of the patient's room and ignore them. The props that he used in his installation was from mental hospitals. The mold cast from the person laying in the bed was a mold from a man named Ed Bourne, an everyday patient in the hospital that was diagnosed with cancer. He used Bourne's body to give the piece some integrity. Both Bourne and the subject of the piece had been put to a state of living death. In the piece, he was supposed to lie on his right side, but because he was wasted, he could only lie on his left side. While working in the hospital, Kienholz once experienced a time when a hospital attendant beat a patient with soap. Therefore, Kienholz painted the figures in a sickly yellow color to show the abuse and decay the victim suffered. Kienholz painted the figures by dripping and splattering the paint onto the figures so that the figures had an appearance of tormented flesh. Therefore, the following movements were all influential to Kienholz's artwork. Kienholz constructs a 8 by 11 by 12 installation. The exterior is a dirty white box-shaped form with padlock doors, making it non-enterable. It has a Ward 19 sign on the upper left side of it. It has a small rectangular door right in the center of the installation, and only until you walk up to the installation and look into the 3 barbed window, you see what's going on inside. In the installation, you see a geometric pink rusted metal rod bunk bed. The mattress is a blue color with white stripes going down the mattress. On the bottom bunk of the bunk bed is a cast mold of a human body. The figure is a yellowish color. It has no clothes on and strapped to the bed. The figure is also laying on his left side with the left leg laid on top of the right leg. The figure has no face. Its head is made out of a transparent bowl, and inside the bowl are 2 fish. The same figure is also shown on the top bunk of the bunk bed, except this figure is inside of a thought bubble. The bubble is outlined by a illuminated pink rusty metal rod stemming up from the figure on the bottom bunk's head, which is an example of implied line. These figures are the focal point of his installation. The walls are a light pink color. There is 1 light bulb hanging from the ceiling of the enclosure with 1 white bedpan laying on the floor, not too far from the bunk bed but not in reach of it. If you look on the left side of the wall, you see a corner of a table. Under the bottom bunk bed, it seems to be some sort of pointless black box with a cord appearing to be coming from or going into the bed. This installation can be found in the Moderna Musée Stockholm Museum. Kienholz's installation is abstracted art because his artwork is a little distorted. The faces in this piece is not real faces, they are fish bowls. Though this artwork represents something, it has unrealistic features, making it abstracted art. He uses an arbitrary color scheme because a person would never be a yellowish color. His artwork is a tactile texture because you can actually feel his artwork. And his installation uses mass because it is a 3D shape and takes up space. The people in his artwork takes up positive space, and the walls or bedpan takes up negative space. He uses overlapping because the bedpan is in closer view to the audience rather than the bed. He uses an asymmetrical balance when making this installation, putting more on the right side of the installation, which will make it heavier and unbalanced. He uses value in his artwork when creating the people. This is a form of modeling. Kienholz creates this installation in 1966, and around this time, a lot of things were happening in the art world. Kienholz's purpose for putting the figure in the thought bubble stemming from the figure on the bottom bunk's head is to show the thoughts of the first figure. It was used to show how the first figure can only comprehend his existence in here and now. There is no other conception of life for him, his only thought being the immediate endurance of his physical condition. The purpose of the 2 fish was to show how the figure's mind drift pointlessly. They do not have anything to fix their minds on. The figures does not live but exist. In Kienholz's installation, he was influenced by many things going on in the world, the funk art movement, neo-Dadaism, and his own personal views. This installation spoke out to me because I thought it was different. I liked the fact that Kienholz used this installation to bring awareness to something he thought needed to change. Kienholz therefore influenced me to draw about the issue of women knowing and embracing themselves. In my drawing, it shows a woman standing in the mirror with no reflection, and in the mirror it says, "You are who you see." The woman has no reflection because she does not know her true self. She is confused about what society thinks she should be and who she really are. I think many women now dress or act a certain way because it is what society thinks they should act or dress, rather than being them and embracing their self.